You're listening to Civic Media. You can tune into any of our live shows on any radio station across the state with the Civic Media app. Find us in your phone's app store and listen anytime, anywhere.
And welcome to the WXCO Morning Report, part of Mornings with Pat Kreitlow on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices, and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app. I am Chad Holmes, joined by Ian Welsh. Ian, good morning.
Good morning, Chad.
We will have more with you coming up in just a little bit, but as we do every other week, it's always a great opportunity to talk about what's going on at the Grand Theater with the executive director of the Grand and the Performing Arts Foundation, Mr. Sean Wright. Sean, good to see you.
Yeah, good morning. Glad to be here.
I tell you, it feels like theater weather.
Yes, it does.
This time of year, it's wonderful to be able to go indoors when the weather's not feeling good.
Yes.
And I imagine that sometimes, as much as you like getting out, because I see you out and running and doing your marathons and doing everything outdoors, I think there's part of you that says, hey, let's not get perfect weather. This ain't San Diego, is it?
No. We don't need sunny and 70 all winter long as much as we would like it, because that does allow us to have that perfect theater weather.
I got to ask you though. I mean, we're starting the World Series.
Yes.
The Brewers did not beat the Dodgers, but again, wonderful season.
Yes.
And that's not one of those situations where you feel like, oh, why did this happen to us? No, I mean, we got very fortunate here this year. But your thoughts on the Dodgers and the Blue Jays?
It's impossible to pick against the Dodgers at this point, because the thing that everybody thought was their shortcoming, their pitching, has suddenly become unstoppable. Snell and Yamamoto and Glasnow pitched well, and then you get to Game 4 and you get that Ohtani guy you can throw in there. And
all right, let's talk about what's going on at the Grand. And I know this week you had yourself a fantastic show. Who doesn't love to sing along with ABBA, right?
Oh, absolutely. That Mania is just such a fantastic show, and we're fortunate that's a producer that we've got a long-standing relationship with, and so even as they sell a block of those dates to the big national promoters, and good for them, they still find a spot for us each year, and we're always happy to work with them.
And everything go well?
Yeah, really, really fun night, and just super talented musicians. And as you said, if you can't enjoy the music of ABBA, like, what are you doing?
You get into it automatically. It's just amazing how something, ABBA, it's sort of like cotton candy. It
100%.
It tastes so good when you get it.
And, do you walk away going, wow, that's the greatest music I've ever heard? No, but you walk away going, it was fun. You know every song,
right?
And I think that's always the thing with that show. You and sort of similar with Tusk last week with Fleetwood, the Fleetwood Mac tribute, you just forget the depth of the catalog,
right.
and both of those shows can do 2-hour shows, and you walk out knowing every song. There's something to be said for that.
That is why, and again, I'll admit it, when I'm not listening to my radio station, I'll be turning on the stuff that when I grew up. I mean, it's just natural, and it just brings back your life story almost to yourself as you experience the show sitting at the Grand.
And the thing that I really enjoyed about both of those shows is, definitely, the demographic that grew up with those, with that music, but then you also see the younger audiences. I mean, there are definitely folks, there were definitely some youngsters in the crowd, both last night or a couple nights ago, as well as at Tusk last week, because they've been exposed to the music now, and that's great to see, because that music continues to impact people.
Well, let's look forward, because this is the final time we'll talk in the month of October.
Yes. We're
getting to November, and we touched on it last time around as well, as we get into the the late fall, then into the winter and the holiday season, and things really start to heat up at the Grand, don't they?
Yeah, they really do. As we get into the next couple of weeks, our first arts and education show, Cirque Mechanics. So it would be great to have all the students back downtown and the buses to see a really cool show from Cirque Mechanics. And as we get into the month of November, of course, we've got a couple of free community engagement events. We've got, of course, 11/11 coming up, the 80s prom-themed 11/11, still with some tickets left. And then, some really, really cool shows that I'm looking forward to. The 615 Collective, which are, you don't know them, but you know their music, because these are all songwriters who have written songs for some of the biggest country artists working today, now out on their own as musicians as well, playing the songs they've written as well as some original stuff. And, so that's going to be a great show. Molly Tuttle, the multiple Grammy Award-winning bluegrass artist, headliner at Summerfest and Blue Ox. We've got her, comedian Dusty Slay, who just is absolutely killing it, from the Nate Bargatze podcast and tree of, the Nate Bargatze comedy tree. Coaches have trees. I guess comedians have trees now as well. So really, and then obviously as we get deeper into November, Tina, the Tina Turner musical, which is just going to be fantastic. And then, a full slate of holiday programming, Cirque Musica. Holiday, we've sold out one show. We've added a second show, added a matinee, and so really, the month of November is a very busy one, as is as has been October.
When you list these shows that are coming up, one thing that kind of jumps out to me is the word energy. It feels like, boy, you got a lot of energetic shows coming. That if you want to get in there and just feel the power of live theater in a way that really just hits you hard. Absolutely. It sounds like a lot of these shows are exactly
absolutely that. And the funny thing was, I probably didn't even mention Mark Martell's One Vision of Queen, which is probably the most energetic of all those shows, with the incredible Mark Martell. But no, it is a really great slate of upcoming shows, because we said, you've got Broadway, you've got comedy, you've got country, you've got holiday, you've got classic rock, and so really it's it's one of those months that as you said, it's theater weather, so it's time to come enjoy things at the Grand, get out of what we're gonna have for the next 6-7 months.
We will have more with Sean Wright, the executive director of the Grand Theater, coming up in about 22 minutes at 7:22 with our next WXCO Morning Report. But coming up next, it is more of Mornings with Pat Kreitlow here on 98.9 WXCO.
You're listening to Civic Media. Stay up to date on the latest news and information for your local community and Wisconsin by signing up for our free email newsletter. Visit civicmedia.us/email to get started.
It is the WXCO Morning Report, part of Mornings with Pat Kreitlow on 98.9 WXCO. Online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices, and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app. I am Chad Holmes, along with Ian Welsh, and this morning, as we do every other Thursday, an opportunity to speak about what's happening at the Grand Theater with Executive Director Sean Wright. But Ian Welsh has been to the Grand twice in the past week or so, and I asked Ian, hey, any report for Sean Wright in terms of your experience at these shows, both the Addams Family and Illuminate?
Honestly, it was so much fun. First, my family and I saw the Addams Family on Tuesday, a super hilarious show, amazing effects, a great night out at the theater, and the weather was actually very appropriate because it was very cold and wet.
It was.
So very appropriate for that show.
Were you going to Illuminate as well?
Yep. On Saturday, we went to the Illuminate show, and just as awesome as the first time we saw it last year. Just an incredible show. I honestly don't know how they do it. It's just very impressive.
And Sean, I know that you talk to your patrons all the time. You hear from what works and rare occasions it doesn't work. I mean, that's really important to you, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. There's nothing better than when we have a week of shows like, we had last week with Adam, Tusk, and Illuminate, and hear the reaction from patrons. You see the reactions on social media, and you just see the joy. And that was the thing last week with those shows. Truly were. They were just 4 nights of just fun, great experiences together in our the theater.
It's a very exciting time, always as you get into November and December. I think it's as busy as maybe you get, but it's also as exciting as you get, along with everything else, along with life. I mean,
exactly.
It's just, it feels like hand in glove, the Grand and these shows and the whole holiday season is, again, it's hard to believe that we're a month from Thanksgiving and 2 months from Christmas.
Really is. But no, you're absolutely right. That is, in this business, it's interesting. It used to be holiday programming you never did before December 1st. And then it crept to, well, you never do it until Thanksgiving. It's interesting. You get pitched holiday shows. I think the day after Halloween in some of these cases we're practically the stores putting up our Christmas decorations in August. But for us, it's always sort of that back half of November. And you start that transition and knowing that you're going to get to the middle of November, and there's not going to be a break until this year. Our last show before the holiday is on December 20th. But between then, it is the best time because it's a mix of fabulous touring shows that are coming back, and local traditions, be it Nutcracker, Altenburg, and those things. And yeah, you can't help but get into the holiday spirit. And the Grand's a great place all times of year, but especially during the holiday season.
I don't know if there's anything else you want to touch on. Any newsworthy items we should discuss before you wrap up things up here? Yeah,
it is a really exciting time for the Second Century project. We're actually just finalizing our new seating layout, there's going to be a few adjustments, but the nice thing is we're going to be able to, the majority of the seating layout's going to look the way you know and love, just with some little nips and tucks, and especially in the lower balcony seats, as those are some seats that are those seats are really, really tight right now. And so we're going to make some improvements there. And so it's been a fun and interesting and very thorough process. You don't realize how much goes into it until I was actually preparing a report for a meeting and looked at it and we literally went through with the architects and the seating manufacturers 8 different drafts of layouts. I think we had one that was actually going to increase our capacity. I'm not sure how. And I think that was the one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum dropped our capacity to 1,039, which we can't do that either. Right. So, I joke that, that layout was too big. That layout was too small.
The old Goldilocks system.
Exactly. But we found one, and it's just right. And so that's really exciting to sort of have that milestone complete. And it's just another thing that makes us realize that next May is good. You talk about Thanksgiving is almost here. In our world, it feels like May 10th is going to be here before we know it.
And in this situation, when you talk about these decisions, vital decisions, because these decisions are going to influence what the Grand Theater is for the next number of decades.
Yes, absolutely. It's amazing when you get into things. There are things that are way out of our pay grade. That's why we have architects and why we have amazing general contractor in Myron. But there are things that we have input on, like seating numbers. Yeah. It's amazing. You can ask 20 people how they think the seats should be numbered in the Grand, or really any theater in the Grand, and you're going to get at least 18 different ways. You might get like 2 people who agree with each other, but otherwise you're going to get, I literally had somebody at one of our volunteers a couple of nights ago as we were sort of offering the opportunity for their feedback, and I had said, we just want your ideas. Nothing's off the table. And one of the volunteers said, I think we should start row A in the back and go forward. Row A shouldn't be at the stage. And I looked at her and I said, I should have clarified. Almost everything is off the table, but no, row A's, I hear what you're saying, but row A starts at the stage. And also there will be no row I. That theaters don't have row I's because it confuses people. So let's clarify that. But
it's crazy. I mean, you think you've seen it all, but you haven't seen it all. You think I've heard every question. You have never heard every question.
No, and to that individual's point, I was like, that is fair. If you're not used to, it's like we're not used to doing the alphabet backwards. Like that's a good point. Also, theaters start with row A.
It's just the way it is.
It's just the way it is.
And we'll wait for somebody else to take that jump.
That's right. Somebody else can do that. We're not going to be the first.
And again, for anybody that wants to get the ticket information, take a complete look at the schedule that is coming up, find out information about the Second Century Campaign. It's all right there online.
It's all right there online. Everything is at Grand Theater. That's er.org. And if you want to look just specifically at the Second Century Campaign, see all of the great Second Century Sundays that Sadie Fisher has put together, grand100.org has all the complete campaign information, including how you can become a part of it.
That is so exciting. It really is. It's an exciting time both on the stage and off the stage. I mean, it is really going to be an incredible number of months, isn't it?
That it is.
Sean Wright, the executive director of the Grand Theater. Sean, always great to see you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
We're going to take a quick break and then come back. More of Mornings with Pat Kreitlow on the way. We'll be hearing in a few minutes from Ian Welsh, and we'll be back with another WXCO Morning Report in just a few as well. It is the WXCO Morning Report, part of Mornings with Pat Kreitlow on 98.9 WXCO. Good morning once again, everyone, and welcome back. WXCO Morning Report, part of Mornings with Pat Kreitlow on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app. The time is 7:53. We are live from our WXCO studios at the corner of Washington Street and North 3rd Street in downtown Wausau. Mostly cloudy skies, temperature of 37 degrees as we keep going through our morning. Look for a chance of sprinkles, mostly cloudy for the most part, and again, a bit chilly this afternoon, high of 45 degrees, and then we'll get some sunshine starting tomorrow and going right through the weekend. Sunny and 50 tomorrow, sunny and 53 on Saturday, and mostly sunny and 57 degrees on Sunday as well. I am Chad Holmes, joined by Ian Welsh. Ian, again, good morning.
Good morning, Chad.
It's always great to be with Sean Wright, to find out what's going on at the Grand Theater. So exciting to hear about, again, the Second Century renovation campaign that will keep the Grand Theater as one of the real landmarks in downtown Wausau for decades to come. And I know that you have a chance to see shows in the audience. You get a chance to perform on the stage. Behind the scenes, what is it like? What do you expect? Is there anything that, as part of the Second Century campaign, that as a performer, that you would like to see happen?
Well, honestly, just every time I do a show at the Grand Theater, whether it's a musical or a center stage show, I mean, every time I go to the Grand Theater, it feels like I'm stepping into a sacred environment. It's like, sometimes I just seem like, before I have rehearsals, I just like to walk around the Grand Theater and just to get taking all the different elements they have to offer. I mean, the dressing rooms and the backstage area and the area, it's just the whole stage itself. I mean, sometimes I spend a few minutes just, doing a 360 around the stage and just to get a feel for, all the different elements and just everything that goes into putting on a show at the Grand Theater. Because, sometimes I've done a show where it's like you have all these different set pieces and they have to fly in and out at different times, and it's amazing how much space they have up there, and it's a lot of different elements. And yes, it can be a chaotic, but that's one of the natural parts of theater. But for me, it's just the way that everything comes together at the Grand Theater to create something beautiful. I mean, I am truly honored to perform at the Grand theater for a number of shows, and I hope that once the second century renovations are over, I get to continue that and you get to appreciate for the next 100 years.
Terrific. Last night we had the big high school sports show here on 98.9 WXCO. If you did not catch the program, you can go to WXCO.FM or go to civicmedia.us, click on the shows, and be able to hear our interviews. We were joined by Todd Diethelm, who is the head football coach at Athens, as they get set for their Level 2 matchup against Lena St. Thomas Aquinas in 8-player football tomorrow. And our student-athlete guest was Hunter Opper of Merrill, who had 4 sacks in their win last week over Rhinelander, and are getting set to face Lakeland in the playoffs tomorrow night. So again, you can always get the big high school sports show as a podcast on our website or by going to Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts and just subscribe to the big high school sports show. And you can get all the programming that you hear here on 98.9 WXCO as podcast on Spotify and also at our website, WXCO.FM, and click on air or shows. Tomorrow night, we have high school football playoff action. The Wausau West Warriors travel to Heartland Arrowhead. And Arrowhead,
It was a long trip, right?
Yep, it's down in the Milwaukee area, so it'll be a pretty long trip again. But Arrowhead is a traditional power in Wisconsin high school football. They've won 6 state championships in their history, so it's a big test for the Warriors in the playoffs tomorrow. So again, Wausau West at Heartland Arrowhead, WIAA Division I Level 1 playoff football. You'll catch the game live right here on 98.9 WXCO. Online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices, and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app, starting with the pregame show at 6:35 and the opening kickoff at 7 p.m. And again, we are very, 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 very happy to be able to do this. I mean, I've been going on the road quite a ways the last couple of weeks. Why do we do this? I mean, it'd be so much easier just to sit at home on a Friday night. But why do we do this?
We do it because we are very, very proud to be the only local Wausau radio station that covers play-by-play action of high school sports.
Yes, we are. And again, I'm going to underline that. Very, very proud to be the only, and in Trumpian terminology, all capital letters, only Wausau radio station that still provides live play-by-play coverage of area high school sports.
And it's not just football.
Nope. And
we cover all sorts of different sports. We do hockey, baseball, basketball.
In fact, I've been working on the schedule for the winter sports season, and we are 3 weeks and 5 days away from our first basketball broadcast of the year.
Nice.
So we'll be covering the Wausau West and Newman Catholic High School boys and girls basketball, boys and girls hockey as well, and it should be a fun winter sports season, just like it's been a fun fall sports season as well.
And be sure you bundle up because it will be chilly in the winter time.
I have brought in the thick jacket the last couple of days.
Yeah, but it's getting a little chilly in the mornings.
And I think, we're starting to get that taste of fall, getting closer and closer to the winter as we are in the final stages of the month of October. We're just 8 days away from Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be back at 8:22 for our final segment, and then more Pack Right next on WXCO.
You're listening to Civic Media. Find the latest news, information, and archives of all your favorite shows on the Civic Media website, civicmedia.us.
And welcome back. It is the WXCO Morning Report, part of Mornings with Pack Rightlow. Little Quincy Jones. And that song is, what is the name of it? Chump Change.
Because it was from a game show,
Yep,
right?
Yep, Chump Change, and it was the theme song of the show in the 1970s and a revival in the 1980s named Now You See It.
Now You See
It was hosted by Jack Nars, and actually, I used to, it used to air on one of either the Game Show Network or Buzzer, one of those game show channels, and I sort of caught it, and then I started going into it, and you can actually go to YouTube and see a lot of the episodes of the show. And I actually liked the show. It was not a show that lasted very long either in the 1970s or the 1980s. But I loved the song because, number one, it started the show, and the host would say, they would have this big board, and basically it would just be a bunch of letters. And then you would have to find words within the board. Oh. And he would come out and have here's the big board. It'd be like 11 across and then 4 up and down. And he would ask a question, and then he would say, roll 4, column 7 or something like that, and get 11 points. But the best part was he'd say, now you see it. And then they would turn off the board and say, well, now you don't. and I get entertained so very easily. But
nothing wrong with that. I mean, I love the classic game shows like
I
that.
do too. Actually, one that I really like is from the 1950s. Again, not probably a show that many people know about, but it's called The Name's the Same. And the show would be involved. They would have 3 celebrities as the panelists, and the host was Robert Q. Lewis. And I always thought Robert Q. Lewis was a cool guy. He was a very good host. And they would bring on somebody who would have the same name as a famous person. Oh. So if, say, a person was your name was George Washington, so they bring him up there, and then the panelists would have to ask them questions to say, hey, to try to figure out because
which one was the real celebrity? Right?
Well, no, that's the person. It had to figure out what the guy's name is. Oh. Because he has the same name as somebody famous, and sometimes it'll be a famous name, a person. Sometimes it could be something else, and I'm trying to remember something like it could be a famous site or something like that, just a weird name or something like that. But it was fun. It was a very fun little show, and then they would have these people come on, normal people with these famous names, and it was just really, I thought, a cool kind of name, a show. So go on YouTube, search out The Name's the Same, and search out Now You See It. Get yourself into a game show rabbit hole sometime this weekend and have a little bit of fun.
It's crazy how many game shows have been around since like the early days, because I remember like the classic games like Family Feud or The Price is Right, like back in the original day, like The Price is Right with Bob Barker.
There used to be, when I was growing up, the whole day would have game shows on like some of the networks. Yeah. And then they sort of started fading away.
The Game Show Network now that plays game shows constantly. Yep.
And also it's there's so many that are over YouTube, but the one that has the classic game shows is Buzzer. Game Show Network started putting on all these modern ones. I love the old ones, like the black and white ones. The Name's the Same, and also What's My Line, and game shows like that. So again, sometimes I'll find myself on YouTube for hours just watching that, and I love Password Plus and Super Password. I've never got into the new Jimmy Fallon version of it, but Alan Ludden, the host of Password for decades, he's a Wisconsin guy. Oh. He's actually buried in Mineral Point. He was married to Betty White, and but he passed away when he was hosting Password Plus, and then he was buried here in Wisconsin. So a little trivia for you folks out there as we get down a game show rabbit hole. And I mentioned in my discussion with Pat Kreitlow about Sir. Did you hear me talking about Sir 7? Well, you were not paying attention, were you?
I actually wasn't in the room.
You weren't paying attention.
No, I was not. I'm sorry.
Oh, boy.
I'm sorry.
It shows how much you keep track of things.
Yeah.
But I was talking about having Sir 7 on stage for a play I did at UWMC. But we also, during my years at UWMC, we did a game show. We had a game show we did at the school in the student union. And it was called The Wall of Death. It was sort of a Jeopardy-like game where you had a big board and you have questions, but then... Okay. There would be sort of traps. It would be called Death Comes Knocking. But so
sounds entertaining.
Love the game shows. So, all right, let's get away from the game shows and have our own little game show. It's time for the number for the day. And Ian is 1 for 3 so far this week.
Got some work to do.
33%, so he needs 1 more to get a passing grade for the week and 2 more to get a winning week.
Yes.
And I had it here. What was the number for the day? All right, but today is the birthday of the iPod. The Apple iPod was born on this date, November. It was unveiled on October the 23rd, of what year?
What
The
year?
number of the day is what year on this date Apple unveiled the iPod.
Okay, what are my choices?
Your choices are
Right.
2001,
Okay.
2006, 2011.
2001, 2006, or 2011?
So how
The
long has the
Apple
iPod
iPod.
been around?
Okay. I'm going to say the Apple iPod came out in the year... Okay, I'm going to say 2001. Final answer, I'm going to say 2001.
Apple unveiled the iPod on this date, the 23rd of October in 2001.
Oh, I got a passing week.
You got 2
That
of
feels
4.
good.
2 out of 4. You're back on the winning track here. So now you got to get tomorrow right for a winning week.
Yes.
But you got a passing grade. Very, very good.
Excellent.
All right, a good way to wrap things up for our WXCO Morning Report.
Yeah.
We'll be back tomorrow. We'll be talking some weekend sports in Wisconsin with Paul Micklig and a whole bunch more. Ian, have yourself a good rest of your Thursday.
You too, Chad. Happy Thursday, everybody.
Pat Kreitlow back next here on 98.9 WXCO.
The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.